This is take fucking 3. If something interrupts me, I'm gonna be pissed. Godzilla re-reviews. And if you could tell by my demeanor, I'm actually pretty excited about doing this. Today, I will be discussing a very infamous installment in the Godzilla franchise. One that I'd say roughly about 85% of the Godzilla fan base just spit bile at this movie at just the merest mention of it. Today I will be discussing the infamous in some ways, but also not infamous in some ways. Roland Emmerich's Godzilla 1998, which pretty much has become its unofficial title, kind of like Godzilla 2014. And joining me today, because you won't keep his fucking mouth shut when I tell him fucking radio silence, is Jackie Boy from BigJackFilms. Say hello.
That's a lot of fish.
I knew there was something fishy about the way your face was shaped before you were going to say that.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel here. I got a fishy feeling about this. Poppity pop pop pop.
This is a popcorn film for shrimp, isn't it?
Yeah, true. Oh! That's good.
Took you a minute to catch on to that, didn't it?
Yeah.
So yes, indeed, Jackie Boy and I are talking about the infamous Godzilla 1998, directed by Roland Emmerich. And if you can tell by my demeanor, today's episode is going to be a little surprising. So Jackie Boy, why don't you tell us your history with this movie, please?
Gladly. Believe it or not, this is the first Godzilla movie I ever saw. This is what essentially introduced me to the character. I remember, I didn't see it in theaters. I waited till home video. I didn't really know much about Godzilla. I knew that, the first thing I think I ever saw in this movie was actually when I had the Mask of Zorro VHS. They had a promo, which, funny enough, that turned 20 years old. This is kind of the 20th anniversary of the film, actually. We're doing its 20th anniversary.
Well, it was in May, but yeah, this year is the 20th anniversary.
So, basically, I remember seeing a promo for it, and I was like, okay, this looks interesting. And I rented it. I really liked it. And I remember I actually had some of the toys. I had one of those Burger King toys, those Godzilla Burger King toys. Was it Burger King? Or no, it was Taco Bell. I think it was Taco Bell. Yeah, it was Taco Bell. But Taco Bell had these Godzilla toys, which were cool. I had one of the toys I had was like this foot and a half tall Godzilla figure that was like, you press this button on his chest and you move back and forth and roar. And I remember I used to take that and put it next to these little Lego buildings and like...
Wait a second, was Godzilla hanging on to the Empire State Building?
No. This was an actual posable figure.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I used to like put it next to my Lego buildings and make it stomp around and everything.
Oh,
okay. So I was like, okay, Godzilla's cool. And because of that, I had a lot of interest in seeing what the other movies were about. I remember going to Blockbuster and renting some of my personal favorites, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Godzilla 85, and I was totally introduced to the character because of this movie, even though it has nothing to do with Godzilla. I did finally obtain it on DVD, but because, thanks to what I know now of the film, and also what could have been, which I do want to get to before we get to the plot.
Yeah, me too. I will do that.
The one thing I have done with my both VHS and DVD versions of the film is I have taken a black Sharpie and pretty much wrote out God out of every area of those copies. This is not... See, I don't consider this Godzilla like a movie Godzilla. I call this movie Zilla.
Or, well, do you also refer to this movie as Gino? Godzilla in name only?
No, I just because
that's a thing.
Zilla. I just call it Zilla because that's what Toho is called, the monster, and so that, therefore, it's called Zilla.
Well, my history with this movie is pretty much the same. This was the first movie to bear the name Godzilla in its title that I ever saw. It introduced me to the franchise, and I freaking loved this movie when I was young. I absolutely love this movie. It was one of my favorite movies of all time. But then it wasn't until the advent of the internet when I finally discovered how infamous this film is. And I followed the crowd for a long time, viciously hating this movie. Viciously hating on this movie.
Actually, I do want to bring up something interesting, and I heard this story when I was at G-Fest. Is that they actually had a premiere for the film at G-Fest back in '98, and they had some of the original Godzilla creators come in as special guests to see their first screening of it. And
I think I know what you're gonna say. One of them was Kenpachiro Satsuma. He walked out of the theater saying Americans just can't accept the fact that some monsters cannot be or just can't be killed by their own weapons.
Yeah, it
or
was
something
that,
along
but
those
then
lines.
apparently somebody in the theater shouted, "I cannot believe it's not Godzilla." So yeah, apparently like at G-Fest, one of the people from Toho literally walked out saying, "Fuck this! This is fucking garbage."
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the longest time, I went along with the crowd saying this movie was terrible. But it wasn't until like the last couple of years. Shut up, Grimace and Gojira. That's yes, we know. Then we made that joke already. Anyway, it wasn't until the last couple of years when I finally started to get into my attitude regarding film. Well, one of two attitudes being if it entertains me, I like the film, and also going against the general consensus. When I rewatched this movie, one day, just I was just one day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna rewatch Godzilla 1998. I'm gonna give it another shot. I want to watch that movie again. And I was about 19 at the time. I love the movie again. And you know what? You know what? I still love this movie. I don't give a fuck. Well, okay, I do, but I also don't give a fuck what anybody says about this movie. It is a terrible Godzilla movie. Potentially the worst. Worse than Godzilla's Revenge in some cases. And also in some cases worse than Godzilla vs. Mothra 1992. In many ways, this is a horrendous Godzilla movie. However, as Jackie Boy wants to say so badly, as a monster movie.
Not only as a monster movie, but as a '90s action movie.
This movie is fantastic.
A Hollywood '90s action movie. It's great.
It's fantastic. And it says, James Rolfe says, it's not high-class entertainment, it's a monster movie.
It's popcorn entertainment.
It's pizza entertainment.
Yep. It's taco entertainment because
Shut up.
Taco Bell did a promotion.
Shut up. And also Doritos as well. I've seen the Doritos chip commercial. I like Taco Bell too. No, Omega Picture. We're far away from the cons at this point. We're only 9 minutes in.
Yeah. And I think what we should talk about first is the back history of Godzilla making it to Hollywood.
Before you say that, the only bit of production history that I know about this movie is that TriStar did have a trilogy of movies planned. Though, of course, even though this movie was a fairly big success, it had a budget of $130 to $150 million, and its box office was $379 million. So it was a moderate success at the time. So TriStar had plans of a trilogy in mind. The second movie of which having the surviving baby Godzilla show up in, I think it was Australia, and do battle against like a species of insectoid-like monsters.
Well, technically that did happen in Final Wars because
hang on.
Godzilla, the '98 Godzilla does attack Sydney.
Well, yeah, that's true. But hang on, let me finish. However, those plans never came to fruition because of the harsh critical backlash that this movie got. TriStar got cold feet, and they just said, "Okay, Toho, you can have it back. We're done." Though thankfully they did hang on to the rights long enough to get out the animated series. Actually, I think I have it right here.
And it's funny too, because then TriStar, even though
no, I did not. Shit.
Gave up doing a franchise, they actually did distribute the later Toho films. Actually, it's because of TriStar they actually finally did release the rest of the Heisei series on home video for American audiences.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
So yeah, show off the animated series. Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched the animated series, but I hear it's good.
It is. It's very, very good. Very, very, very enjoyable. That version of Godzilla puts the god back in Godzilla.
Yeah, and so the thing is too.
I'll do that, KPF.
So here's the thing too, is that I want to go into a bit of a backstory, and KPF actually, if you guys want to know a full history of Godzilla in Hollywood, check out KPF's short series called Godzilla in America. It's actually a pretty good series. I talk about the back history of all the productions that got canceled, but plans for a Hollywood adaptation of Godzilla started all the way back in the 80s, and had plans to use Jim Danforth doing stop motion animation and Rick Baker making basically a Godzilla suit, but that never came to fruition. It was going to be in 3D. But then
try to make this abridged. Try to give us like an abridged version of this.
Okay, so in 1993, after the success of Jurassic Park, TriStar did obtain the rights to produce an American remake as well.
Speaking of we'll be talking about Jurassic Park later in this video as well, but continue.
Yes. And what happened was the first group of people really that got involved with the production was actually Stan Winston Studios, who did the animatronic effects for Jurassic Park. And Stan Winston's crew had created several maquettes and models of what Godzilla would essentially look like. And honestly, the 98 design is okay for what it is, but I think the film would have been far superior if they used the Stan Winston design, because
for those of you who don't know, the Stan Winston design essentially looks like a much slimmer version of the 84 Goji design, but with greenish yellow skin.
And it looks a lot like a crocodile.
Yes, that too.
It's supposed to have like a crocodile tail and everything, and it looked fantastic.
It did.
They had also planned for him to fight a monster called the Griffin. And
that script is fantastic.
There were also rumors they were going to put in King Ghidorah. So I don't know what it was that eventually had them scrap everything that was planned. But eventually Roland Emmerich got involved, and him and his writers basically changed everything in the design and the story. And honestly, I hate Roland Emmerich. I think he is a terrible director. I'll even come out here and say I fucking hate Independence Day. I'm sorry, that movie is garbage. And along with its sequel, 2012, Day After Tomorrow, they're all crap. This is really the only film, even though it's not a Godzilla movie and he fucked up on that part, this is the only one that I actually like that he's done. But he is a terrible fucking director.
I definitely do think that for certain products, or not products, but what's the phrase? Properties. Dean Devlin. Well, Dean Devlin's part of it, but Roland Emmerich, he's the kind of guy who you sort of want to stay away from, but yeah, I don't think he's a terrible director. Though I do think he was a terrible choice to direct a Godzilla movie because I believe. Let me finish. I believe he has come out many times to say that he despises Godzilla. And to me, I just want to go to the heads of TriStar and say, why did you give this to Roland Emmerich? You may as well be given the rights to make a Godzilla movie to Roger Ebert. There's not much of a difference. Though me myself, I I don't hate Roland Emmerich because I actually do like some of his other movies. I do enjoy Independence Day. Resurgence sucks balls, but I like Independence Day.
I didn't even see it, and I knew it was gonna suck.
I like Independence Day. I really like Day After Tomorrow. That's a great disaster movie, and I love The Patriot with Mel Gibson.
The Patriot I actually do kind of like. I'll give it 2 movies. Everything else is garbage.
I think The Patriot is Roland Emmerich's best film, hands down.
The thing is with Roland Emmerich, I just want to bring this up as a joke. He's like Tommy Wiseau, except if he actually had talent,
had a budget,
but still sucked.
Yeah, would you agree that Roland Emmerich's kind of like prototype Michael Bay?
No, he's like Tommy. He's like the secret buttfuck child of Tommy Wiseau and Michael Bay.
I think he had something to do with Eight-Legged Freaks as well, and I like that movie too.
The other thing is too is like, it's not only him to blame. It's really Toho for approving this. They approved it. They said they saw the design. They saw it all, and they approved it. And you got to give them at least some blame for actually letting this go, letting this pass.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there was, like if Hollywood just threw some money at Toho saying, here, we know it's crap, but we're going to do it anyway, just let us do it. And Toho said, okay. So yeah, I do agree that there is...
They took the money and then they still said, this is shit.
So yeah, I do definitely believe that there's fault on both sides of the coin. And I do like that Toho has learned from their mistakes. Sort of. Some people say that, you had the gut for Godzilla 2014, you had the rights and you had this script for 12 years. And this is the best that you can come up with.
And it's also just the fact that, so I think there was a saying that Toho said where, we'll keep the old Godzilla, you guys make the new one. And the other thing is, they were actually really, really convinced this was going to work, that in Japan, they had actually put out a teaser trailer long before its release. They had slated this teaser trailer for 1994. So they were so excited to let Hollywood do their thing. They already put out a teaser before a single script was written.
Omega Picture, no, in no way, shape, or form 2014 is a remake of this movie. Where the hell did you come up with that?
Absolutely. I remember, actually, very quickly, I actually remember seeing the teaser for Cloverfield back in 2007. And the version I watched actually slated it to say Godzilla 2. Like, apparently they were fooled. I was fooled to thinking, is this going to be a sequel to 98?
Oh, well, I'll discuss this more when I talk about Godzilla 2000, but some people are also led to believe that 2000 was a sequel to 98.
Yeah, I actually was fooled by that.
I was slightly fooled by that as well. But I quickly learned that no, not even remotely are those two movies connected.
Well, there was also the fact that back then, when the year 2000 rolled around, that's when everybody thought, let's make a sequel to something and just put 2000 in it, just to say, oh, it's the second movie, but it's also updated to the next millennium or some stupid fucking shit like that. But anyway, let's get to the plot of this thing.
18 minutes into the review, almost 19. So, the plot of Godzilla 1998. A marine iguana nest is exposed to the fallout of an atomic bomb following a test in French Polynesia, which never happened. In the South Pacific Ocean, a Japanese fishing vessel, nod to the original, is suddenly attacked by an enormous sea creature, which ends with only one sailor surviving. I refuse to say the word seaman because it sounds so wrong. However, this traumatized individual, as he's questioned by a mysterious Frenchman in a hospital, in regards as to what he saw, he just keeps repeating, Godzilla.
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 Okay, I will admit, like, the first beginning of this movie is actually pretty solid.
It's got good build-up.
Pretty good.
It's got really good build-up, yeah.
And I guarantee, like, when the Japanese sub is attacked, or the Japanese ship is attacked, I guarantee the audience is like, okay, nice start. We're at a very nice start, you know?
Yep.
This is classic Godzilla.
So Dr. Nick Tatopoulos, played by Matthew Broderick. Dr. Nico Papadopoulos is Tatopoulos. Yeah, there's a running gag throughout this movie that people just keep mispronouncing his last name. I guess it's trying to be funny. It's not. But anyway, so Dr. Tatopoulos, played by Matthew Broderick, is an NRC scientist, and NRC standing for National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine.
Okay.
That rolls off your tongue. He's in the Chernobyl exclusion zone in Ukraine, which is some shit or other. Researching the effects of radiation on wildlife, specifically earthworms, which leads him to get the nickname the Worm Guy. However, he is interrupted by the arrival of an official from the U.S. State Department, and he is sent to Panama and Jamaica, and is escorted by the military to observe a massive trail of wreckage across the island, leading to the recovered Japanese fishing vessel with massive claw marks on the sides of the ship.
Who also of which the Colonel is played by the dad from Transformers.
Yeah, I'll name him. Let's see. The Colonel is...
And the thing is, they call him the Worm Guy, and he should have been like,
Kevin Dunn.
I'm not the Worm Guy, I'm the Lion King.
Kevin Dunn, who plays, I think that's him. Is it? Yeah, that's him. Kevin Dunn as Colonel Anthony Hicks. I hate this character. I hate this character with a burning passion. I'll get to that I'll get to why in just a minute, but I hate this character.
Dumbass.
That's putting it lightly. So Tatopoulos identifies skin samples he discovers in the shipwreck as, don't you dare say anything, as belonging to an unknown species of a reptilian creature. And he dismisses the military's theory that the creature is a living dinosaur, instead deducing that this is some type of mutated monster created by nuclear testing. And it travels
I believe this is a mutated apparition.
Shut up! Shut up! I don't want to hear those lines.
No, I want to just say one thing. I believe this is a mutated apparition, the dawn of a new species, the first of its kind. Just like my career. I'm acting. I'm sorry, you know what? I kind of love and hate Matthew Broderick. I'm kind of a love-hate. Like, he's great as Simba. He's great in Ferris Bueller. He kind of sucks in this, but he's also kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I do like Matthew Broderick in this movie. I can't stand him in Ferris Bueller, and I like him in Lion King. Oh yeah, I love him in Lion King. He's even better in Lion King too, honestly. Anyway, so the creature travels to New York City during the raining season. It is at this point in the movie that for the rest of the movie it's constantly raining.
Oh yeah, it's like the biggest. Did a fucking hurricane hit Manhattan or something? Jesus Christ.
And it goes on a rampage throughout New York, and I do like the fact that the filmmakers, they tried to hide it at first.
And I'll also admit, I liked the first Rampage.
I did too.
It's actually pretty good.
It's kind of scary. I have to get a soda. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it feels like Godzilla. And on top of that, also to point out, you have the mayor of New York, who is an obvious nod to Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert, because apparently Roland Emmerich was sick of them trashing his movie, so he said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna sue you guys and rip on your asses."
Yeah, I don't like Roger Ebert. I think he's an asshole.
And not to mention the head of the news station, played by the voice of Kent Brockman from The Simpsons, is Basically, I like to think that they're ripping on Matt Lauer because Matt Lauer's kind of a douchebag.
Not kind of, he is an asshole.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm writing something down here.
The voice of Kent Brockman is basically, think Matt Lauer if the Me Too movement didn't fucking get him.
Yeah. So anyway, so after the first rampage, the city is evacuated before the U.S. military puts in some attempts to kill the monster. However, in the initial attempt to kill it, which another scene I really like, this is where we get our first full view of Godzilla in the film. It fails, but in the process, Nick collects a blood sample, and after performing a pregnancy test, which I'm pretty sure a human pregnancy test would not work on an animal, but whatever.
Not if he produces asexually.
Discovers that the creature... And eventually Totopoulos...
That's what known for nowadays.
Huh?
That's what he's known for nowadays.
Like $10. Eventually, Nick meets up with his ex-girlfriend, Audrey Timmons, played by whatever the fuck her name is, Maria Pitillo.
Career killer, as I call her.
What do you mean?
I know, Honest Trailers, if you watch the Honest Trailer, they call her career killer.
Why, did she kill somebody's career, or did she kill her own?
No, she killed her own. It's like, meet Audrey, a whiny little bitch who can't act.
Audrey being a young news reporter who wants to find a story, and while she visits him in his tent, she uncovers a classified tape in his own military tent, which concerns the origins of Godzilla, and turns it over to the media. I'm pretty sure that's a felony and is punishable by pretty big jail time.
Which, by the way, is on a fucking Betamax. What
Yeah.
the hell?
Well, this was the late 90s, so Betamax was still being used.
Well, Betamax was usually used for the news reports and stuff, so... Like, even, like, Hank Azaria's character, who I love in this movie, when he puts in the camera, he puts in the beta tape.
Excuse me. And she hopes
that's only because Beta is higher quality.
And she hopes to have her report put on TV in hopes that it'll make her famous. However, her superior and boss, Charles Kamen, uses the tape in his own broadcast, and he declares it as his own discovery.
To quote Adam Sandler, "What an asshole!
What an asshole!" And he proceeds to dub the creature Godzilla. And it's Gojira, you moron!
No, then Toho comes in and says, "No, you fucking asshole, it's just Zilla."
Oh my god. I'll discuss that when I get to the cons, but damn.
What a dick!
So with the classified information released, mainly because of his actions, no, not really, because how the hell was he supposed to know that she would steal his tape? Whatever. Nick is removed from the operation, and he proceeds to abandon Audrey, which that I support him on.
I thought we had something. I thought we had fish.
Oh my god, the puns! And soon, however, he is kidnapped, quote-unquote, by Philippe Rocher, who is an insurance guy, quote-unquote, that he met before coming to Manhattan. And he then proceeds to reveal himself as an agent of the French Secret Service. And Philippe and his friends, or co-workers in the French Secret Service, have been keeping close watch on the events surrounding Godzilla, and they plan to cover up their country's role in the atomic bomb that apparently created Godzilla. And suspecting that there is a massive nest somewhere in the city, they proceed to cooperate with Nick to trace this nest down and destroy it. This is when the movie, for me at least, gets really good.
The question is, how the hell did the French get an atomic bomb?
Don't know, and I'm not going to go into logistics of that. So following a second encounter with the military, Godzilla dives into the Hudson River to evade the military. However, there he is attacked by 2 Navy submarines. This is another really good scene. And after colliding with torpedoes, Godzilla sinks, presumably dead, at least at the moment, and the military celebrate their victory.
Just like, I just wanted to be on Broadway.
So meanwhile, Nick and Philippe's strike team, followed by Audrey and her cameraman Victor Animal Pilati, played by Hank Azaria. Why is he named Animal?
The voice of Chief Wiggum.
Why is he called Animal?
I don't know, but it would have been better if he was called Wiggum.
Why is he called Animal?
Well, you know what it is too? I like his character.
Why is he called Animal?
He was a fun character.
Why is he called Animal? Why?
But that's the thing, like, I just want to point out, I like his character because
I do too.
He goes into situations with a fucking camera that are so dangerous. I'm like, I would totally be that guy.
Anyway.
Most news reporters would just fucking puss out at shooting really tragic stuff. Not me. I'm pulling out my camera. I'm like, I'm going full HD on this shit.
So Nick and his team, along with Audrey and Animal, find the nest inside Madison Square Garden, and they locate over 200 eggs. However, before the French can succeed in destroying them all, the eggs hatch, and the offspring begin their attack.
Which, by the way, the nest, as much as I've not seen Alien, alright, I know, you're all gonna hate me, that scene reminded me a lot of Alien. Like the nest bit. It looked like something out of Alien.
Think Aliens meets Jurassic Park. Don't say anything regarding Jurassic Park. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
And the reason that they attack is because the humans smell like fish, and they run out of fish quickly.
That's a lot of fish.
So Nick, Animal, Audrey, and Philippe take refuge in the garden's broadcast booth, and they successfully do end up sending out a live news report to alert the military of what will happen if the offspring escape. And a prompt response is executed involving an airstrike by 2, I think they're F-18s, as the 4 escape moments before the Air Force bomb Madison Square Garden, killing all of the offspring in the inside the thing. So
that's
Audrey,
one way to commit mass abortion, I guess.
No, it's one way to commit mass infanticide.
True.
So Audrey and Nick reconcile in a total cop-out. However, the adult Godzilla, having survived, emerges from the garden's ruins and then looks upon the deaths or the corpses of its young, and enraged by this, it chases the 4 across Manhattan. And after a very long taxi chase, which is probably the greatest scene in the film, or no?
And then I watched that scene and I'm like, this is fun.
Yeah, second best. Fun. As friendly as you guys are, I feel like you're gonna flip your shit every time Jack speaks about fish. Stop speaking about fish!
But that's a lot of it.
I don't fucking care. I'm the one who's supposed to come up with the puns, not you. So after a long taxi chase, they manage to trap Godzilla within the Brooklyn Bridge. I'll get to that later.
Swedish fish?
No, it would have to be French fish, because that's the only person here. French fried fish.
Fried fish is actually pretty decent.
French fried fish.
And there's a lot of it.
Well, it's better than the Japanese route, which is sushi.
Well, they fried the lizard, so I guess they could have, like, gator legs and...
Hey, don't mock gator. Gator is delicious.
I tried it once. It was too much. It felt like I was chewing rubber. And just thinking about
you had bad gator then.
Made me feel a little sick.
You had bad gator then. So anyway, the Air Force return, and in one of the most infamous scenes in all of Godzilla history, they kill Godzilla by shooting it with 8 missiles. I think it's 8.
And Godzilla goes down. Matthew Broderick looks at it, and you get that whole you feel sorry for the creature, and it's like, well, Mr. Tatsanopoulos, the airplane's got him. And Broderick says, oh no, it wasn't the airplanes.
It was the fish that killed the lizard.
That killed the beast. It was the fish that killed the beast.
So after that, back at the ruins of Madison Square Garden, a single surviving egg hatches, and the hatchling comes out and roars, thus leading into the animated series, thus ending the film.
And more Final Wars.
Yes. So how about this plot? Well, let me sum it up like this. This is a remake of Beast in 20,000 Fathoms.
True.
Straight up.
Straight up. It is straight up. And not even that. You know, man, I will admit, like, again, the really only thing they fucked up with this movie is the character of Godzilla. If they had kept the same Godzilla character, for a plot, it's pretty solid.
Yep.
I mean, the only thing I would have done without is the whole nest thing, like the whole egg thing. Because that was obviously saying we want to do something Jurassic Park, but whatever.
We'll save that later. We'll save that for later, but yes, I do agree.
I would love to see somebody remix this movie, but with the little Godzillas. Replace all the roars and stuff with lines from Minya. So they all come out going, Godzilla says that I should learn to fight my own battles, you know. Godzilla says, Godzilla. They all start saying, I'm like, oh, they're trying to chase after them. Come here, I won't hurt you.
I'm gonna smack you.
Think about that. That would be funny.
No, the only thing I think will be funny regarding this is that if they overdubbed both of Godzilla's atomic breath scenes, quote unquote, with long burps.
Okay, that'd be funny.
As done by me. Hang on. I'm gonna need more of that. So, with all that out of the way, let's get. I feel like this is gonna be a pretty long review. Let's get into the pros of Godzilla 1998. How many do you have? I have a few. I have 6.
I have a few. I'll start by, first of all, I do want to talk about the characters, because they are 50-50. Because some of them I like, half of them I like, half of them I hate. I'll start with the ones I hate. I hate the girl. She cannot act. She's fucking... Okay, she may look good, but she's a terrible actress. Fucking terrible. Oh my god, she can't act her way out of a goddamn paper plate. No, oh my god, she's a garbage actress. I don't know where she's at now. Maybe she's like doing strip clubs or something. I don't know. But fuck, she's terrible. She's garbage. The other one is her girlfriend who's like, oh, boy, I'm a Joycey, whatever, this stereo.
Oh, I fucking hate her. She is the type of woman I would hate to be married to.
You know what it is? It's like, it comes from Jersey, probably. You know, that's very bad. Oh, just fucking terrible. I'll admit, the general's 50-50. Like, he's a fucking dumbass. He's a dumbass. Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. I'm 50-50 on because I like what they did. It was kind of funny that they actually did that because they were just sick and tired of those bashing their movies, right? And they just made it as a big fuck you to them, which is understandable. But granted,
Hang on. Omega asked me, "What happens if you did marry her? What would you do?" Hang on. What did you ask? What would you do after that? You know what I would do?
Feed her Godzilla.
Well, no, I just kill her.
No, just feed her because think about it. There's another Godzilla. Just feed it to her.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I will. If there is a baby Godzilla coming towards me that wanted to eat me, I'd throw her at it.
Yeah. But yeah, so
she's a cunt.
But here's the thing too, is that this is the part that bugs me, and I agree because apparently Siskel and Ebert did talk about this, where they thought it was funny that they were being spoofed in this movie because they weren't fans of that guy's movies. But then Gene Siskel said it in his review. He said, if you're going to spoof me and Roger in a movie, why don't you have the monster stomp or squish us? And that's a good point. You got these two spoofed in a monster movie, and you don't even have the currency to have Godzilla like squish him or something. You know, like obviously people would have been pissed, but it would have been funny. So those are the characters I don't like. The characters I do like, I like Matthew Broderick in this movie. He's a complete geek and complete buffoon, but, again, I'm 50-50 with Matthew Broderick. Like, I liked him as Simba, I liked him in Ferris Bueller, I liked him in this, I hated him in Inspector Gadget. Oh, fuck that movie.
I liked him there.
Right,
Cue the Inspector Gadget theme.
You gotta admit, he was not the right choice for Inspector Gadget.
I thought he was perfect.
Yeah, but I like the French agent. He seemed like the more serious character.
He was a badass.
I liked Hank Azaria. Which one was the cameraman?
Hank.
Was that Harry Shearer or Hank Azaria?
Hank.
Yeah, I liked him as the cameraman because he was fun because he's just going around filming all this shit, knowing like he's gonna make a lot of good money off filming it, like that's me. If I was in a serious situation and I had a job, I would probably be filming stuff and then sell my footage off for cash, because I like that character. And you know what? As much of a scumbag of a bastard as he is, Harry Shearer is actually a pretty good human villain in a sense.
Who?
The head of the news report.
Him.
Harry Shearer, the voice of Kent Brockman, right? I thought that he was such a slimeball, but you love to hate him. Did you notice there's that scene where he's on the phone and Godzilla just walks past and his secretary's like, I think your story just walked by the window. That's Nancy Cartwright. That's Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson. And they apparently Roland Emmerich cast like half the actors from The Simpsons because he's just a fan of the show. Yeah, Nancy Cartwright, Harry Shearer, and Hank Azaria are all in this movie, and they all voice characters in The Simpsons. And that's the thing, like on his trailers, they made a joke about that. The voice of Kent Brockman, the voice of Chief Wiggum, the voice of Bart Simpson. They're all in that movie. You didn't know that? That was Nancy Cartwright. Hey, Kent Brockman, there's a dinosaur behind you, man. You just look like oh my god, why didn't I know that? So yeah, the characters are fun 90s characters, honestly. They're fun 90s characters, and that's my second pro with this film. This movie is so 90s. Pure 90s, up there with the likes of Space Jam, Batman Forever, Angels in the Outfield. This movie has pure 90s all over it. And I absolutely liked it for that. Even though, there's so much stuff in the film that is completely outdated. Like, you see Kodak disposable cameras, Betamax tapes, Blockbuster videos in one shot.
Oh my god! I did not know that!
Hey,
Bart Simpson!
There's a dinosaur behind you, man.
Fucking Bart Simpson! Is that a Godzilla movie?
Goes out to fucking Godzilla, and Godzilla's like, I'm Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you? Hey, Godzilla! Hey, Zilla! Don't have a cow, man! Don't have a fish, man!
Mind blown.
Yeah, intro just be like this. Godzilla! I think I killed him. Well, that's the end of this review, everybody. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Not just kidding. So yeah, it is a pure 90s movie. It's got the 90s all over this goddamn thing. The action sequences are fantastic. Like, one, obviously the CGI is the 90s, and you can pass by a little bit, even though some of it's garbage. But the miniature work, the effects, the shots of New York, it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. I even like the score. The score to this movie it feels like a Godzilla movie. And minus the whole Puff Daddy and Jimmy Page song, which was, what the fuck was that about?
Pain.
Yeah, it's like...
Pain.
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 And you know what the other thing is, too? I'll come out and say it. I mean, as much as this is not Godzilla, I like the creature design in this. I like Zilla as a monster.
Pain.
He's pretty cool.
Pain.
But yeah, like, it's just the reason I like it mostly is because it is a pure 90s movie. And it really shows, but you know what? I don't like it for that. Well, that's the thing, KPF. You were born in the 90s. I was. I
was too.
Well, what year were you, Nick?
97. Though, can't deny, the 90s still had a big influence on the early 2000s.
True, but I was born in 92, so it's like I've experienced more of the good stuff. So...
Pain.
But yeah, so, as a 90s movie... It's fun. As an action movie, it's fun. As a Godzilla movie,
pain.
Garbage. Pain.
Pain.
Your turn, Nick. Pros.
Alrighty, so my pros. Spiel. Pro number 1 is Godzilla's design. Pain. Exactly. I like Godzilla's design in this movie. I really, really do. I think Godzilla in this movie is a pretty solid design. I like the fact that it looks a lot more dinosaurian.
You know what some people call this creature? Jay Lenosaurus.
Because of the giant chin, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a Jay Leno. Or no, like the Crimson Chinzilla. Here comes the Crimson Chin. Yeah, audience, bear in mind, I know a lot of cartoons, so I can mimic a lot of cartoon shit.
Yeah, I like Godzilla's design. I like the fact that it looks more dinosaurian in nature.
It's very H.R. Geiger, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. I like his spines. They certainly make Godzilla look a little larger than he actually is. Not really much to say. My only issue with Godzilla's design is that I wish they kept the original idea of Godzilla having an atomic breath, because there is concept art of this Godzilla having an atomic breath, but he doesn't in this movie.
I don't know why they didn't do that.
Laziness. Anyway, so
Gojira says, "What's next? Godzilla's gonna do the Bartman." Everybody dip to the Bartman. You know who actually wrote that song?
Shut up.
Michael Jackson.
I don't care.
Anyway,
pro number 2 is that the music score for this movie is decent. It's not amazing.
I like it.
It's very 90s, as you say. It's extremely 90s.
You can feel a lot of the Spielberg whimsy in the score.
Yes.
Mixed with, but like when Godzilla's attacking, it feels like it's got that big booming sense that a Godzilla movie should have.
Yeah. There are definitely a lot of moments where the music does feel very fitting. Like all the music that plays during the hatchery scene, it's very ominous.
Very Spielberg ominous.
That too. Well, it's very ominous, and it definitely adds to the suspense of the scene. So that's very, very good there. There's few scenes where the music is just really, really generic. But overall, this movie's music score is decent. I do have one issue with it though, but I'll get to that when I get to the cons. But overall, the music score is decent. I've certainly heard worse music scores for worse monster movies. Pro number 3 is the hatchery scene. From once they enter Madison Square Garden until the mass infanticide. The mass infanticide. That scene is fantastic. It's one of, in my opinion, it's one of the best scenes in a monster movie in existence. It's creepy, it's tense, it's suspenseful, it's ominous, it's action-packed, it's thrilling, and it's entertaining as fuck.
One complaint, though. One complaint.
Let's save it for the cons.
One of the worst effects in the movie.
Save it for the cons, I said.
All right.
So I love the hatchery scene. The hatchery scene is awesome. So let's see.
I wanted to bring up too some of my favorite scenes in the film in terms of action sequences. I love the helicopter chase scene.
I do too.
That's fun. I like that. Again, the car chase at the end, all the way till he gets to the Brooklyn Bridge. Great scene. Got some great jokes in it. It's like well thought out. That's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. With fish. That's a lot of fish, man. But yeah, like, again, the action sequences in this movie are really good. You know what I even also like? There's bits where we see Godzilla underground. Like, I like when we see him burrowing through the fucking underground. That's, like, you never think Godzilla, well, I don't know if Godzilla has been known in other movies to be someone to burrow into the ground. Except that, like, the only one I can think of is, like, Godzilla versus Mothra, where he rises out of the ground. And then in Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, where he's in a fucking mountain. Alright, come back, buddy. You're pros. You're pros.
I am a pro, aren't I? Anyway, so pro number 4 is Matthew Broderick. I love Matthew Broderick in this movie. I think, yes, he is a geek. And one thing I will say is that he's got some pretty fucking horrendous dialogue.
I will bring this up. The movie is very quotable. It's probably one of the most quotable Godzilla movies for me.
Though sometimes for the wrong reasons.
Like, as much as the dialogue's bad, I do like that scene where he actually says this is not a dinosaur. Like, that whole dialogue with them saying, oh, it might be an Allosaurus. It's like, where has it been for 65 million years? It's like, this animal is far too big to be some kind of lost dinosaur. And every time they finish a sentence, the lightning flashes in the background. It's like, this animal's way too big to be some kind of lost dinosaur. A hybrid caused by the fallout of these islands. Your earthworms? Yes. I believe this is an aberration, just like my career. That's the thing. Like, sometimes Matthew Broderick can act, and then other times he can't. Like, when he breaks out with his girlfriend, it's so wooden when he talks. Like, good luck with your career. I trusted you. I thought we had...
I kind of felt like his reaction there was very genuine because he wanted to rip into her, but at the same time he didn't want to, because he just kind of wanted to save face. But I feel like his reaction there was very genuine. But anyway, I love Matthew Broderick in this movie. He definitely is his character really tries to make a difference in this situation. He really, really, really tries, but there's just all these dickhead people all over him saying, you're just a worm guy. We have no faith in you in our project whatsoever. You're just here because we have to have somebody like you around. But he really does try to be proactive in this situation, and sometimes he is, and it's great. So I really like Matthew Broderick in this movie. Pro number 5 is that the action scenes in this movie are freaking spectacular.
They're pretty good.
The
And
first
minus the fact
Rampage.
that Godzilla runs away from things.
The first Rampage is great. The first initial attack to kill Godzilla is great. The helicopter chase is awesome. The second attempt to kill Godzilla is great. The submarine scene is awesome. And the final the entire hatchery scene is awesome. And the final taxi chase is awesome. This is the type of Godzilla movie I like, is that there's a lot of there's a lot of Godzilla time, but there's also a lot of action in it. I don't care about plot, I don't care about characters, I just want to see action. And this movie delivers. So in that sense, I love it. And the last pro that I have is that I think the special effects for this movie are great. The puppets... Hang on.
50-50.
Hey, JT is reborn here. Hi, Sean. The puppets, suits, and animatronics in this movie look great. Very well detailed, very well executed, very seamless. I see no issue. Like, I don't see any wires. I don't see any rods. I don't see any zippers or seams in the suits. The suits are awesome, and the puppets are great, and the animatronics are great.
The fact that they put a guy in a suit is pretty solid. I love the big animatronic Godzilla.
Yeah, that looks great too. That looks really, really good.
Pretty good. I just want to discuss quickly the CGI. So I do like the fact that they mostly kept it at night to avoid showing the CGI looking. Because remember, this is early CG before it got really good in rendering. So when Godzilla's at night, it's pretty seamless. You can't tell that it's a computer-generated creature, and it looks good.
The only time that I think the CGI is legitimately bad is all the CG used for, or most of the CG used for the baby Godzillas. And that's about it. The only times the CG looks bad is most of the time with the baby Godzillas. There's a few shots where the baby Godzillas look fine as CG, but for the most part they look pretty terrible.
It almost felt like the baby Godzillas were kind of a last minute thing to put in the movie, whether it be in the script or in terms of effects, because I think they put it in last minute in the script. But I think
no. It wasn't last minute in the script. It was a last minute because originally they intended to use more of the baby Godzilla suits. However, they weren't working right. The suits weren't working right, so the studio just said, okay, if these suits aren't working right, let's just use CG.
The other thing is like, the CG looks like it was done by a totally different effects company.
The CG for Godzilla underwater doesn't look very good, too.
Yeah, like, it feels like a lot of it was kind of a different effects company took over. It's like, this doesn't feel like the effects people, this doesn't feel like Sony Animation doing the effects. It feels like the guys who did the special effects for Reptilian.
I knew you were going to say that. Well, actually, no, Reptilian infinitely looks worse because at least for the most part... No. The CG here, for the most part, looks like it's finished, whereas in Reptilian, it doesn't look finished.
It looks like the effects in Reptilian look like something out of the Donkey Kong Country.
And you know what's really sad? In Reptilian, they actually were supposed to be using suits and practical effects, but they decided not to for some reason.
Because it was cheaper to use CG.
So anyway, that's all the overall, and also the miniatures look great. The explosions look great. The animatronics look great. Overall,
that's the one thing I'll give Roland Emmerich credit is that I do like that he uses models to blow up shit.
Yeah. So overall, the special effects, like 98% of the time, no pun intended, they look great. There's a couple hiccups here and there, but overall, the special effects look fantastic. So now let's get to the cons. I'll go first.
Okay.
Aside from Matthew Broderick, all the characters suck. They're very bland. They're very two-dimensional. They're very stereotypical. They're very
They're
one
very
note.
90s.
They're very 90s. Yes, all the characters suck. My least favorite character in this movie is a tie between this bitch and this dumbass.
So between the girlfriend and the army general.
Yes, this bitch being Audrey and this dumbass being Colonel Hicks. Audrey is a cunt. She's a user and abuser. Shut up, Sean.
No,
Enough with the fucking fish.
She's not a cunt. She's a whore.
Enough with the fucking fish. Enough with the fish.
That's a lot of fish. Yes. That's the comment section. Oh, GTS with one that's fucking brilliant. Oh, hashtag. That's a lot of fish. Yes, Manila. Oh, bravo, you won the comment section. Oh, God. When you wanted me to Godzilla 98, hashtag that's a lot of fish. Oh, God.
I'm gonna need a beer for this.
You pissed him into the ground, he's not coming back. Oh, God, that's funny. Anyway, cons. So, characters suck.
Yes, between this bitch and this dumbass. This bitch is a cunt. She's a user and abuser. God damn it. God damn it, Sean. Enough with the fucking that's a lot of puns.
That's a lot of puns. I think we killed Nick. Oh, you guys are killing it in the comment section. Oh, I love you guys. If y'all do a podcast on movies and shit, count me in. No. This is Godzilla, not Friday the 13th. This is Godzilla, not Friday the 13th. Hey, you better be careful doing that or else YouTube might, flag your video.
It would have been worse, Sean, if you got here at the start.
I like Sean. Sean rules.
Yeah. Yes, Jack. Jack is dying too because he's making me look bad because he's stealing all my fucking puns. Anyway, Hicks, he's a very arrogant prick. All he wants to do is to shoot first, shoot again, shoot a third time, ask no questions ever. Just, I'm wrong, I'm right, you're wrong, that's it. I'm right and you're wrong, that's it. I'm wrong and you're right, that's it.
He's up there with the very generic, stereotypical evil generals from a lot of movies. Like,
Very much so.
He's up there with the likes of Colonel Nevitt and King Kong Lives. Well, Colonel Nevitt was actually more of a bastard, and probably killed a few people in Vietnam or something, I don't know.
That's a lot of Godzilla tells me to... Oh my god!
That's a lot of Godzilla sets that I don't like that fight out now.
Hashtag that's a lot of dumbasses telling a lot of bad fish puns.
That's a lot of Jack.
Hashtag that's a lot of jackasses laughing like donkeys.
Oh, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that one.
So anyway, Yes, hashtag that's a lot of Jack laughing.
I have a very contagious laugh. Sorry, folks. I get that from my grandmother.
So overall, to wrap up that con, all the characters suck except for Matthew Broderick. But the two worst is this cunt and this fucker. Con number 2 is that I think this movie is kind of unevenly paced.
Yes.
After Godzilla's attack, like first attack during the day, the movie everything leading up to that point, the movie was paced perfectly. But once Godzilla's rampage is over, the movie brings to a screeching halt. Then we get Godzilla's reappearance, and when he's eaten all the fish,
a lot of it.
that scene is perfectly paced. Hashtag that's a lot of Honore Dikedo. That's a Kamen Rider reference. Figure it out.
No, it is when you get to Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. Hashtag that's a lot of
Oh, wow. To answer your question, Justin, yes, I will be doing a ranking of the Heisei films, but I have somebody in mind. Shiny Boy. Anyway, so that scene when Godzilla shows up to eat the fish, that scene is paced perfectly. Then it goes to a screeching halt after Godzilla disappears again. And then the third attempt to kill Godzilla when he escapes the submarines, that's paced perfectly too. And from there on out, the movie is paced well. But then once Godzilla is killed, the movie just drags. It's like, okay, it's done. Get it over with, please.
Yeah. Well, what about the whole baby Godzilla scene that's in the middle up there? Like,
no, I said once that scene, from the
end of the submarine scene.
Okay, the end of the beginning of the third chase with Godzilla, all the way till when Godzilla is killed, including the hatchery scene. That scene is paced perfectly. It does slow down once Godzilla is torpedoed, but it slows down in a good way because it builds suspense for the baby's hatching. So in that case, it works. But it's in the first.
I just want to answer Omega Pictures hashtag here. Yeah, Omega, I actually will be on TV come September, so stay tuned.
So mainly it's the first 2 acts that feel unevenly paced. It's not a huge problem, but it is one that I do notice watching this movie. Con number 3 is that there's no Akira Ifukube music.
Yeah.
Massive bummer.
Well, we'll have to wait till King of the Monsters literally 20 years later.
21 years later.
21?
Okay, that's enough of the hashtags, please. It's starting to get annoying, actually. Con number, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 is holy fuck. Does this movie have some cringy dialogue?
Again, 90s. It was the 90s.
Hashtag lots of cringy dialogue. Hashtag lots of fishy dialogue.
God damn it! God damn it!
I beat you. I beat you to the best pun. But yeah, some of the dialogue in it's very 90s to a fault.
The dialogue is very silly.
No, that's just stupid.
Alright, I blew it. Got it.
No more puns.
Alright.
You're fishing for bad puns at this point.
No more puns intended. Got it.
So, anyways, some of the dialogue in this movie is fucking terrible. All the dialogue from Audrey is horrendous, especially in the beginning of the movie. Like when she's squealing over Chuck, like, "Are you serious? You serious? What did he say?" Whatever the fuck she said.
I love the scene where she first sees Nick on the news, and she just has this look, just like,
"It's my walking dildo."
No, she's just doing this. She's just twitching almost. Fucking, oh no, the scene where she apologizes. I didn't mean to. It's like, God, you know what? It's sad when George Lucas dialogue is actually better than what you're saying.
And all of Major Hicks's dialogue is crap. He's very one note. Like, all of his dialogue, he's repeating the same shit over and over again. Military jargon, bullshit way to kill monster. Military jargon, rushed way to kill monster. Military jargon, bullshit this, bullshit that.
You know who I liked better? The guy who was second in command.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Actually, he's in Desperate Housewives.
He's just being a nice guy.
Yep, he's in Desperate Housewives. And I only know that because I'm a big fan of that show.
And this woman looks sensational for being 65.
No, I'm not crushing the beer can. Anyway,
Oh, here's a bad. I don't know if this is a con or not. The product placement.
It's a product of the 90s, so of course it's going to have product placement.
But you got like Blockbuster.
It's a product of the 90s.
Yeah, you've got like Blockbuster Video. You got, I think, some sort of cola. I can't remember what the name of the cola is, but apparently it doesn't exist anymore. Pepsi
Cola?
No, it wasn't Pepsi. Although I think Pepsi did promote this movie, didn't they?
I don't know, nor do I care.
I think it was Pepsi. There was Kodak disposable cameras.
Oh yeah.
Sony had a huge hand in it because, you know, TriStar and Columbia are owned by Sony. There was a lot of that back then. A lot of product.
I don't really think it's a flaw. Like, it's not shoved in your face to the point where it becomes a problem. So I don't really consider it to be a flaw, though it is something to take note of.
Well, it's funny, too. Like, every restaurant scene in the movie apparently takes place in, like, almost a 50s
RC
diner.
Cola, that was it. Okay, yeah, RC Cola.
Yeah. But isn't it fun? Do you ever notice that, like, every dining scene takes place in, like, a very 50s cafe? I get, like, they couldn't even, if they're doing product places, they couldn't even bother having the cast go to a Taco Bell or something. Another product placement, Crunch chocolate bars. Because I think Roger Ebert or Samara Ebert was, like, eating a Crunch chocolate bar. The shit's good. I want chocolate now. I want a fucking chocolate bar. And, by the way, Nick, if you ever come to Canada, we have a chocolate bar called O. Henry.
Pain.
Well, actually, JT is reborn.
Pain.
I've been to New York. It rains occasionally, but there are a couple times you get some decent days in there.
Con number 1, 2, 3.
Oh, there's one more con, and it's just more uncomfortable. The fact that this is before 9/11, and there's that one line that Hank Azaria says where he, no, was it Hank? No, it was Harry Shearer, where he's like, "This is the worst disaster since the World Trade Center bombing," and you're just like, hey, yeah, the World Trade Center bombing in 91. I'm sure that's the worst disaster New York's ever been in. Yeah, like, even the Chrysler building going down, you're just like, ooh.
Con number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is that there's actually a lot of scientific logic leaps in this movie that are, at least to me nowadays, they're really noticeable. One that really sticks out to me is when Godzilla reappears at night to eat the fish. He sees he zooms into Nick and he's looking at Nick. When he roars, not only should Nick have been swept off his feet because of the air being released from Godzilla's mouth, his eardrums would have been completely gone.
Also, the fact that Godzilla has radiation.
Oh yeah, so now he has like a massive case of cancer now.
Yeah.
Con number 2 is how the hell, or like scientific logically number 2 is how the hell does a monster of this size burrow as much as he does under New York City, and how does New York not collapse upon itself?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Number 3, you know that scene where those two soldiers were walking throughout that tunnel? And one of them turns around and he says, "Nothing down here. Nothing at all." Then you see Godzilla show up and he opens his eyes. First off, how do they not hear him breathing? And when he opens his eye, how do they not hear his eye opening? Because that would have been such a viscous liquid sound. It would have sounded like massive sloshing. So how do they not hear Godzilla breathing, and how do they not hear his eye opening?
Went from Godzilla to Stealthzilla.
Yeah. How is this monster able to run and move around as quickly and as agile as he does, and not even remotely he grazes the buildings a couple of times, but other than that, how is he so nimble that he can bounce onto the balls of his feet around these tight, narrow pathways throughout the city and not knock over some buildings?
Yeah, because the thing is, you gotta remember with New York City, every street, every area of New York is basically a crossword puzzle. It's crosses, like there's streets on every side. It's a crossword. How is he able to cut through corners and stuff and kind of sneak around without his tail knocking down
Another one. How is
like,
Godzilla able to be lost by the last helicopter, but how is he able to sneak past the helicopter, sneak underneath it, and have the helicopter not see him before he lunges up and bites it?
Yeah. Also, how the hell was he able to maneuver out of the way to have the helicopters be behind him and then burst out of the building going, "Surprise, motherfuckers!"
Also, speaking of which, how is Godzilla able to... You know that scene where you see that big building that has the massive hole in it? How did that not collapse?
Yeah, like half the city, there's holes in the buildings. How are these fuckers not collapsing?
Structurally, that would not have been able to be stable. It would have collapsed.
I get this is pre-9/11, but still.
Let's see. This is probably the biggest one. How is Godzilla able to walk and run on the Brooklyn Bridge and have it still without it collapsing? Yeah, would not have been able to support his weight.
Yeah, even back in 1925 when The Lost World came out and that brontosaurus went across London Bridge, it still collapsed on top of him.
So yeah, there's a lot of really bad scientific flaws in this movie that really do stick out when you look at this movie.
Fuck logic, Lord. Good Lord.
They're more shoved down your throat than the Save the Earth messages in Godzilla versus Hedorah.
Exactly. You know what? I will say this. It's sad when the last act of The Lost World is a better Godzilla movie. It's more faithful to Godzilla.
I can understand that Jurassic Park was still a big thing at the time, because the first movie only came out 5 years prior, and the second movie came out the year prior. Yeah. And I do understand that Spielberg is a big fan of Godzilla.
Actually, if you want to make it more awkward, they released the first teaser trailer in front of The Lost World a year before its release.
So I would accept if you wanted to have a couple references, like really minor references to Jurassic Park throughout the movie, but when you get to the point where they're so forced, they come off as being awkward. To quote Angry Joe, you done fucked up.
Yeah, like the fucking baby Godzillas.
They're velociraptors. They're velociraptors, straight up.
Opening the doors. You got like fucking certain lines like saying "clever girl" or something. You got even the scene where the cab is being chased by Godzilla. It's the T-Rex chasing the Jeep, and I think even one of them says, "Let's go faster. Let's go faster." Seriously, like, I think one of them says, oh, you might want to speed it up or something. Still, it's the same fucking line.
Yeah, so all the Jurassic Park references do kind of bog this movie down, especially in the third act, because that's when they're really, really prominent. But with all that said, despite all this movie's flaws, I guess you could say a seventh con is that Godzilla is not Godzilla in this movie.
Oh, yeah, this is not a Godzilla movie at all. I'm actually surprised that Toho didn't put a cease and desist on calling it Godzilla and just calling it Zilla.
Or just calling it a remake of Beast in 20,000 Fathoms.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you could say that's an official seventh con, is that this is not Godzilla. I'm not going to go into detail about it because people have done that already, so I'd be repeating what people have said. So, but with all of that said, I still love this movie very much. I love the crap out of this movie. I think it's very entertaining. It's a great 90s action monster movie. And if you're looking for something like that, this movie is right up your alley. And no, I do not think Mothra 92 is better than this movie, Sean. Shut up. So, what would you rate this movie, Jackie boy?
It's definitely would not make my top 10 Godzilla movies because it's
Me
not
neither.
a Godzilla movie. But as a 90s action movie with a giant mutated Jay Leno chin dinosaur, it's a lot of fun. As much as it's, I would consider this a Jurassic Park ripoff. I do like how 90s it is, and it's because I'm a sucker for that shit because I grew up on that. I like it for some of the effects are good. Actually, you know what? As much as the dialogue is campy, it's funny. I think the movie it's a very funny film. Actually, like it is almost.
And you are right. It is very quotable.
You know, it's very quotable. So, as a Godzilla movie, it gets a straight up 0. But as a fun 90s movie, I give it about an 8 out of 10. I'd say.
So I will also be rating this movie on a personal scale, or a personal scale and an objective scale. Objectively, yeah, I give it a 0. It's not a Godzilla movie. It's a piss poor excuse for a Godzilla movie. It's a spit in the face to Ishiro Honda, Eiji Tsuburaya, and Tomiyuki Tanaka, and also Kira Fukube.
Well, it's also technically canon with the Millennium series, if you want to count that.
It's not, no.
Well, they make reference to it.
Oh yeah,
GMK.
it's in canon with GMK specifically.
And Final Wars.
That's a different version of Zilla.
That
Zilla's much larger.
Zilla. Yeah, it's the son of Zilla.
Whatever. So objectively, I do give this a 0. It's not a Godzilla movie. It's a spit in the face to both Toho and all the original creators of Godzilla.
And the fact that some of the creators walked out shows a lot.
I still love for this movie, we wouldn't have the awesome animated series, which this asshole needs to get his hands on and watch. It's only $10 for the entire series on Amazon, boy.
Well, I've always been scared with giant monster movies on television.
Pull your head out of your ass.
Because of Kong, so...
Pull your head out of your ass.
Alright.
So, which is why I will be rating this movie on a personal level a 9.5 out of 10.
No, you know what you should rate it? 9.8.
No.
98.
Stop fishing for bad puns, boy. So, yes, I give this movie a 9.5 out of 10 purely on a personal level on how much I enjoy the film. It's a bad movie. But I love this bad movie. Like, this movie, to me, I don't associate with this guy anymore. But, well, I kind of do, but whatever. This movie, to me, is what X from Outer Space is to Adam Noyes. This movie, to me, is what's a bad movie that, like a really bad movie that you absolutely love?
I don't know if this would count, but Waterworld.
That's not a bad movie. Get another one.
What's a bad movie that I like?
Okay, this is King Kong Lives to Jack. He really likes that movie.
I put it like that.
This is to me what King Kong Lives is to Jack. This is to me what Godzilla's Revenge is to Sean, and this is what.
Wait, hold up 1 second, Bob. Sean, you like that piece of shit movie. What is wrong with you?
He has a strange obsession with it, he tells me.
I think you need to go to a special needs class, man. Fuck.
So yeah, I love this. I love the crap out of Godzilla 1998. I could pop it in anytime, have a pizza, and just enjoy the shit out of it.
No, have some Taco Bell and come with Pop Daddy. Come with Pop
Jack,
Daddy.
don't you know that Godzilla's Revenge is the greatest Godzilla movie ever made?
It's a Godzilla clip show. If you're just wanting to skip a couple of the movies and just watch an abridged version of a few of them, then fine.
Well, that is one reason I would recommend Gamera Super Monster.
Basically, if you want to skip Son of Godzilla and Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, fine.
So with all that said, this review being a lot longer than I thought it would be, post your comments down below and let me know what you think. Enough with the goddamn Puff Daddy fucking hashtag bullshit thing. And let me know what you think. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video with your friends, subscribe to Jackie Boy's channel if he's got anything to pimp out.
This is a lot of long reviews. And a lot of fish.
You're still fishing for bad puns, dude.
Poppity pop pop pop.
So do you have anything to pimp out?
That's it.
Alrighty, so look forward to the next video as I wrap up my thoughts on the Godzilla Heisei series, as JT is Reborn and I rank the Heisei Godzilla series, and then we move on to the Millennium series. And look forward to that, and as always, where the fuck are my shades? Go out and investigate irradiated earthworms, and then get caught up in some fucking fiasco with the giant mutated iguana.
That's a lot of fish.
And I will see you in the next one. Eating a lot of fish.